After spending 5 years devoted to caring for my paralyzed husband, I accidentally overheard him describe me as nothing more than a free servant. In that moment, something inside me snapped, and I made a decision no one expected. Stay with me as I share what happened next, and if you can, take a moment to support our channel by smashing that like and subscribe button. Your love and support truly keep us going. Now, let me take you back to how it all began. For 5 years, I carried my husband, Ethan Walker, in ways I never imagined when I said, I do. I carried him through the mornings when his arms were too weak to pull a shirt over his head. I carried him through the nights when the pain meds wore off and his jaw clenched so hard I could hear it from the kitchen. I carried him through physical therapy appointments, insurance calls, pharmacy runs, and the silent stretches where he stared at the wall like something inside him had shut down. I carried him with my hands, my back, and my patience. I also carried his pride, his moods, his fear, and the constant unspoken expectation that I would not complain. I was 25 when his accident happened, 30 when I finally understood what I had become in that house. Ethan's paralysis started on a rainy Tuesday in Atlanta. He had flown there for a sales conference. He called me that morning excited, talking about closing a deal, joking about hotel coffee, asking me to save him leftover chili because he missed real food. That afternoon, a driver hit his car on the interstate. A sideswipe.
A spin.
A slam into the guardrail. When the doctor used the words spinal cord injury, my ears rang. When he said permanent, I nodded like I understood, even though my mind was a blank sheet of paper someone had set on fire. The first time I saw Ethan after surgery, he looked smaller in the hospital bed. His voice was the same, but it sounded trapped behind his teeth. He reached for me, and I leaned in like a lifeline. I told him we would get through it. I meant it. I did not say it to be dramatic. I said it because I believed it, and because the alternative felt like abandoning someone in the middle of a storm. Back then, I still worked part-time at the Charlotte City Archives, organizing records, scanning old photos, labeling boxes no one touched but everyone depended on. I liked the quiet. I liked the order. I liked the idea that if you cared for something carefully enough, it stayed safe. That belief followed me home. Our home was not really ours. It was Ethan's. He bought it years before, back when he was married to his late wife. When we got married, I suggested we start fresh somewhere new.
He said no.
My son grew up here, he told me. I am not moving Caleb out of the only home he knows. Caleb was 17 then, tall and sharp-shouldered, with a kind of polite silence that felt like an insult. He never called me by my name. If he needed something, he spoke to his dad. If I spoke to him, he replied like he was reading lines from a script he resented. Still, I moved in with 2 suitcases, a second-hand bookshelf, and a small coffee table I refinished myself. I told myself love could bloom in borrowed space. Then the accident happened, and borrowed space turned into borrowed breath. When Ethan came home in a wheelchair, I turned our downstairs office into a bedroom. I installed grab bars, moved furniture, and learned how to lift without injuring him or myself. I watched YouTube videos at midnight about turning a patient safely, preventing bed sores, and helping someone regain dignity after losing control of their body. I learned the physical rhythm of caregiving the way some people learn dance steps. Pivot, brace, lift, shift. Speak softly. Move slowly. Keep your face calm, even when your back screams. Ethan cried the first time I helped him bathe. He apologized, then got quiet. I promised him he was not a burden. I told him I loved him. I meant it. I was still a wife then. Still a person who believed partnership meant sacrifice. Year 1 was survival. Year 2 was routine. By year 3, I could tell the difference between his pain and his frustration. By year 4, I could refill prescriptions without checking labels. By year 5, I could do everything with my eyes half closed, like my body had memorized a life my heart never volunteered for. I stopped working. Just for a while, I told myself, until he stabilizes. But stabilizing never arrived. There was always another appointment, another complication, another bill, another form, another emergency. I became the one who knew everything. Which sock rubbed his ankle wrong? Which pillow supported his neck? Which nurse actually listened? Which insurance representative might approve something if I said the right words with the right calm tone? And somehow, while I was keeping him alive and comfortable, I disappeared. I did not notice it at first because disappearing happens quietly. It looks like skipping lunch because someone needs help using the bathroom. It looks like wearing the same sweatshirt 3 days in a row because laundry feels pointless when your life already smells like antiseptic and exhaustion. It looks like walking past a mirror and not recognizing the girl staring back. The moment that cracked me open came in a hospital courtyard on a sunny morning that felt too cheerful for how tired I was. Ethan had been admitted for a complication with blood pressure and muscle spasms. I baked banana muffins that morning, his favorite, because I still believed small kindnesses could soften hard days. I carried them in a paper bag, warm against my palm, like a peace offering. I turned the corner into the courtyard and heard his voice before I saw him. He was outside with a couple of patients and a nurse nearby. He sounded relaxed, like a man on a porch telling jokes. Then I heard the sentence that made my stomach drop. "She's basically a free caregiver," Ethan said, laughing. "No payroll, no nagging. She's young enough to still do all the heavy lifting." Someone laughed with him. Ethan kept going, like he was proud of himself. I locked it in early. "She does everything. Feeds me, cleans the house, handles insurance. That's more than a wife. That's a full package for $0. My knees went cold. I stood behind a column, frozen, holding muffins that suddenly felt like a joke. Then he added the part that finished the job. "And when I'm gone," he said, "everything goes to Caleb. That's my boy." I made sure of it. I did not move. I did not breathe right. My ears rang like I had been slapped. For 5 years, I had told myself I was building something real, something mutual. I had given my time, my body, my youth, and my quiet dreams. I never demanded praise, but I expected respect. I expected to be seen. Instead, I was a bargain. I waited until the conversation shifted. I stepped back slowly, like leaving a room where someone had just dropped a glass. I did not want him to see me shatter. I walked down the hallway toward his room with my face arranged into a mask I had perfected over years. When I entered, he smiled at me like nothing had happened. "Claire," he said, bright-eyed, "did you bring the muffins?" I placed the bag on the bedside table carefully. My hands did not shake. My voice did not crack. I felt strangely calm, like my body had finally gone numb enough to protect me. He looked at the bag, satisfied. Then he looked at me again, like I was part of the furniture he expected to be in place. "You should not wear yourself out," he said. "You are the most reliable person I know." Reliable, useful, obedient. The words did not come out of his mouth, but I heard them anyway because I had heard them in his laugh outside. That night, I did not come back. I left him with the nurses and went home to a house that felt like an exhibit in someone else's life. I sat on the couch in the dark and listened to the silence. No sports on TV. No kitchen noise. No call button. No "babe, can you?" floating through the air like a chain around my ankle. Just me, finally hearing my own thoughts. The next day, Ethan came home. I did the motions because habit is powerful. I adjusted his cushion. I buckled the seatbelt. I carried the discharge paperwork. I guided his wheelchair over the threshold like a trained professional. He complained about the couch feeling different. He asked for the remote. He told me hospital food was terrible. He asked if I could make his chili again soon. He never asked how I was doing. That evening, Caleb showed up, opening the fridge like a man walking into his own kitchen. He nodded at his dad and ignored me the way he always did. "Dad," he said, "you good?" Ethan grunted. Caleb grabbed a soda, leaned against the counter, and started talking about paperwork. "You should have handled the will a while back," he said. "Stuff gets messy if you wait." I stood at the sink, rinsing a dish that was already clean. Caleb glanced at me for half a second. Not a person glance. A placement glance. Like checking whether the maid was in earshot. "It's not like this place is hers anyway," he said. Something clicked in me then. Not rage. Not tears. A quiet final sound, like a lock turning. I turned off the kitchen light and walked away without a word, leaving him sitting there in the dim glow like a boy in a house he thought he owned. That night, after Ethan fell asleep, I went into the study where we kept important documents. The folders were neatly labeled: medical,
Bills.
insurance, taxes. Behind a folder marked miscellaneous, a single sheet slid out and fluttered to the floor. Life insurance declaration. I picked it up and read the beneficiary lines twice, hoping my eyes were wrong. Primary beneficiary, Caleb Walker. Secondary beneficiary, Alexis Walker. Alexis was Ethan's sister. My name was nowhere. Not even as an alternate. Not even as a courtesy. I stared until the words blurred. It was not about money. I never married for money. I married for partnership. For safety. For the idea that if you devoted yourself to a person, you became part of their world in a way that mattered. But the paper told the truth in ink. I was not part of his plan. I was part of his convenience. That afternoon, I called someone I had not called in 2 years. My best friend, Maya. Maya owned a flower shop in Durham called Petals and Purpose, right off the downtown streets where brick buildings held coffee shops and bookstores and people who looked like they still knew how to laugh. When she answered, she sounded breathless, like she was working. "Hello." "Maya," I said, and my voice finally shook. "It's me." There was a pause, then softness. "Claire? Where have you been?" I swallowed. "Do you have a minute?"
"I have the whole day," she said.
"Come here." I did not pack. I did not leave a note. I grabbed my purse, my keys, and walked out like my body knew the way even if my mind was still catching up. Maya opened the door to her shop and pulled me into a hug so tight, I almost cried right there between the buckets of roses and the smell of fresh-cut eucalyptus. She did not ask questions in public. She led me to the back patio where sunlight hit the table and hummingbirds darted near a pot of bright yellow roses. "You look like you have been holding your breath for years," she said, pouring me tea. And then I told her everything.
The courtyard.
The will talk. The life insurance. Caleb's comment. The way Ethan looked at me like a tool he owned. Maya listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back and said calmly, "You were not a wife in that house. You were a service." I stared at her. She pointed gently at my hands. "Look at you. You have caregiver hands. Not because caregiving is shameful, but because you stopped being seen as anything else." My throat tightened. "I'm 30, I whispered. "I feel 90. "You're still here," she said. "And that matters. You want to stay upstairs for a while?" I nodded, and for the first time in a long time, the answer felt like permission. The next morning, Maya took me to a women-led law office in Durham. The attorney, Brooke Hart, had sharp eyes and a calm voice that made you feel safe telling the truth. She flipped through my paperwork like she was reading a story she already understood. "You stopped working to provide full-time care," Brooke said. "Yes," You contributed financially early on, she said, scanning credit card statements and tuition payments. And you supported the household. Yes. She looked up. North Carolina recognizes equitable distribution. Caregiving counts. Sacrifice counts. Labor counts. My heart pounded like it wanted to run before my legs did. Even if the house is in his name? Brooke nodded. Marital contribution is not only a name on a deed. For the first time in 5 years, someone spoke about my life like it mattered. We filed for separation. We requested full financial disclosures. And when Ethan's records came in, something ugly surfaced fast. 2 months before I left, Ethan transferred $40,000 to Caleb. No explanation. No disclosure. No mention. Brooke's expression stayed calm, but her eyes sharpened. That looks like asset diversion, she said. We will challenge it. Ethan started texting once he realized I was gone. First polite. You okay? Just let me know if you're coming by. Then irritated. You cannot just run off. People will talk. Then angry. After all I've been through, you abandon me? Caleb texted too. You are overreacting. You are ruining everything. I did not respond. Silence was the first boundary I ever held without apologizing. Court day came with cold air and bright fluorescent lights. I wore navy slacks and a cream blouse. No makeup. No performance. I wanted truth, not theatrics. Ethan arrived in his wheelchair, pushed by Caleb. He looked smaller than I remembered, not because his body had changed, but because the illusion had. Brooke laid out the years of unpaid caregiving, the financial contributions, the loss of my career, the health toll. She submitted the bank records. She presented the $40,000 transfer. Ethan's lawyer tried to frame it as love. She chose this role, he said. You do not charge your spouse for love. Brooke's voice was steady. She is not billing for love. She is asking for fair recognition of labor and contribution. Those are not the same. When the judge looked at me, he asked one question. Do you believe this marriage was mutual in care, support, and dignity? I held my posture. No, Your Honor. I gave everything. I was treated like I was replaceable. 2 days later, the ruling arrived. 35% of shared marital assets. 18 months of spousal support. The $40,000 transfer reversed. I did not celebrate. I did not feel revenge. I felt a clean exhale, like my lungs had room again. 3 days later, Caleb stormed into Maya's shop during closing, face twisted with anger. He slammed his palm on the counter and accused me of stealing, of being selfish, of taking food off his dad's table. Maya stepped between us, voice flat. Say one more word, and I call the police. Caleb spat on the floor and left. I watched the spit hit the tile and realized something surprising. I felt nothing. No shame. No fear. No need to explain myself. I grabbed the broom and swept it out the door like it belonged to yesterday. Weeks passed, then months. I started freelancing again, editing manuscripts for a publishing company. My invoices had my name. My payments went into my account. My password was mine. Those small details felt like oxygen. I joined a writing group at the Durham Library. The first piece I shared was called What Care Costs When It Is Not Returned.
People clapped.
One woman cried. Another said, This makes me feel seen. That night, I sat on Maya's back patio, watching her yellow roses sway. She called them her freedom blooms. I finally understood why. Late one afternoon, a letter arrived from the hospital. Ethan had been admitted after a hypertensive crisis. The form listed no emergency contact. I stared at the paper and waited for panic to rise. It did not. I called Brooke. Please transfer all medical decisions to Caleb, I said. A few hours later, Brooke confirmed it was done. A nurse later told Maya that Caleb never showed up. Too busy, he said. I thought about the courtyard laugh, the free caregiver joke, the confidence Ethan carried like armor. And I realized something brutal and simple. He built a life where people served him, but he never built a life where people stayed. Summer arrived. Mornings felt calmer. I learned how to cook for myself again. Not for approval, not to keep someone happy, but to nourish the person I had ignored. I started a blog called Unkept Vows. My first post was titled From Being Needed to Being Seen. It reached thousands of readers in a week. Messages poured in from women in Phoenix, Seattle, Detroit, Oakland.
Teachers.
Nurses. Single moms. Women who had loved someone so hard they forgot their own name. One comment stayed with me. You wrote what I did not know I was allowed to feel. My cousin Renee, a financial consultant, visited one day and handed me a small brass plaque. It read, "This space belongs to Claire." We hung it above the little kitchenette in Maya's guest room. Maya stood back, arms crossed, smiling. "You did not just leave," she said. "You reclaimed." Months later, I passed Caleb on a sidewalk near the courthouse. He looked at me, then away. No anger this time. Just discomfort, like he finally understood I was not a ghost he could order around. I kept walking. Today, I teach online editing workshops. I write essays that get picked up by lifestyle blogs. I speak at small women's conferences, telling the truth without shrinking it to make anyone comfortable. My newsletter has thousands of subscribers. Every week, someone tells me they finally left a relationship that was quietly erasing them. Sometimes, late in the evening, I sit on Maya's patio with tea and watch the freedom blooms move in the breeze. I still feel grief when I see old pictures. I still remember the girl who believed endurance was the same thing as love. But I do not confuse grief with regret. Grief just proves I tried. My name is Claire Walker, and I am not a servant. I am not a prop. I am a woman who walked away when love stopped being mutual and started being survival. I gave my all until I almost vanished. Then I chose myself. And I promise you, that choice saved my life. If you were touched by this story, like and subscribe for more interesting tales on family, love, and betrayal. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.